What's up, everybody? How are y'all doing today? I'm Anthony. You are watching Palmetto Prepared, and today is an exciting day. We are finally finishing up and wrapping up our End of the World Nutrition series. Now, I know you're sad. This is probably one of the best series you've ever seen ever in life, period. But indulge me, this is kind of one of those situations where I didn't want to draw it on too long because I don't want to lose efficiency or efficacy. But I wanted to make sure that this point was driven home because it is that important. Now, I know you're thinking, hey, you didn't ever mention minerals. You're right, I didn't mention things like potassium, calcium, iron. I can totally do that in another video. I'm actually planning on it when it comes down to plants. Since plants require minerals just as much as human beings do, I can hit that in another mini series. But today's episode, we are going to wrap up this series in the best way possible, and that is, how does all of the stuff that I just talked about in the last 5 episodes affect you? So let's go ahead and get started. Alright, now first things first, in order for this video to be applicable to whoever is actually watching, you have to make sure that you have done your BMR, your basal metabolic rate, i.e. the minimum calories you need per day. Now, you don't have to go back to the first video to get that link. I'm going to post the link down below in this description box. So if you haven't done it yet, you can pause, go down there, do your basal metabolic rate. You can just put your little calculations in and get your number. Now, with this part here, we're going to be going above and beyond the BMR. We're going to be doing that little chart that's going to show the exercise or the intensity of the calories you're going to need to be burning. And I'm going to show you mine right now. So I think it's safe to say that we will not be taking into account the normal or the sedentary or exercise 1 to 3 times. If we are in an end of the world scenario, we're most likely going to be hoofing it a long distance, doing a lot of stuff outside in terms of planting, growing crops, because that takes a lot of time, dealing with animals, security, probably be a lot of running and gunning, that kind of fun stuff. So we're going to use the bottom one, the very intense exercise daily, or a physical job. Alright, so now as you can see, that is, for me, 4,000 calories. So I'm going to put person 1 and person 2. Person 1 being me, my BMR, or the number I need to hit, is going to be 4,000 calories. Person 2 is going to be your average person. Say I ran the numbers for a 35-year-old, 5'5", 130-pound woman. And the same thing, her basic need is going to be 2,500 calories. Now keep in mind, as you get older, the less calories you need. Obviously, the more weight you drop, the less calories you need as well. So I'm obviously working on losing a little bit of weight so I can drop my BMR down. That way I don't have to eat quite as many calories. But so remember, person 1 is me. Person 2 is that 2,500 calorie person, your woman, or if you're a male that just doesn't require that much calories, that'll apply to you. So, way this is going to work is I'm going to do a little bit of math. And I know you're saying, oh God, math, click next. Nope. Super easy, all right? Really, really easy. The split we want to get to is, in an ideal situation, we want to try to make it so that 4,000 calories, which I'm going to use for myself, 4,000 calories is going to be split with 40% of those into carbohydrates, 30% of those into fats, and 30% of those into protein, okay? So in order to get all of those numbers, we are going to have to do a little bit of math, but it's super, super easy. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, now for carbohydrates, the way we're going to be doing math is my 4,000 calories times 0.4 for 40%. So that will equal 1,600 calories of my 4,000 has to be carbohydrates. All right? So we'll take that 1,600 calories. In order to determine how many grams of carbohydrates I need to do a little bit more math. And that is, there are 3 calories per 1 gram of carbohydrates. So you need to take my 1,600 calorie number, get my 1,600 calories, and divide that by 3. And that number will be 533 grams. Cool? Now for fats we are going to do 30%. So we take that 4,000 calories again and we multiply that times 0.3. since 30% 0.3. So that equals out to 1,200 calories. And then out of that 1,200 calories, for every 9 calories is 1 gram of fat. So we have to take 1,200 calories, divide that by 9, since it's 9 calories per fat gram, which makes it 133 grams of fat per day. Now for protein. For protein, it is 4 calories. But we use that 30% number because it's the same thing, 1,200 calories, divided by 4, since it's 4 calories per gram of protein. And that number will be 300. My final numbers for person 1 is 533 grams of carbohydrates per day, 133 grams of fats per day, and 300 grams of protein per day. Now person 2, since they are 2,500 calories per day, they are looking at 83 grams of fat, 333 grams of carbohydrates, and 187 grams of protein per day. All right, super easy. That is what you need to hit per day to maintain your current body weight in an end of the world scenario. All right, this is why doing your BMR and this little bit of I would say math, because it's really not that hard of math, but this little bit of math to figure out what you actually need to store is going to pay off for you, because you're going to be leaps and bounds ahead of the people that have not done this. So do it for you now, put it away, that way you know what to stash for yourself and your family, because I guarantee you, until you actually figure out these numbers, you are drastically under-preparing everything. Now we're going to get into a couple scenarios. Alright, so scenario number 1, we're going to talk about carbohydrates and how you actually get these carbohydrates you need per day. Now remember, for a 4,000 calorie person, me, person 1, I need to get 533 grams of carbohydrates per day. And for a 2,500 calorie per person 2, you need to get 333 grams per day. So we're going to use that to the normal thing that everyone considers to be carbohydrate based, what they stash, and that is going to be white rice. People say, oh, I got my carbs covered because I have white rice. Well, we're going to show exactly how much white rice you're going to need per day to hit that number. Since 1 cup of white rice is 44 grams of carbs, this is 1 cup cooked, by the way, so 1 cup of cooked white rice is 44 grams of carbs. That means the person with 2,500 calories, person 2, is going to need 7.5 cups per day. Me, person 1, I'm going to need 12 cups per day. That's a lot of freaking white rice. So that 5-gallon bucket you may have will go very, very quickly just for one person. Imagine having a family of 4. That is why you need to do this. Scenario 2, you want to get your proteins. So proteins are a little bit easier to get. Person 1, me, I require 300 grams. Person 2 is 187 grams per day. Now with protein, we're going to use 3 ounces of beef. So say you have some steak stashed away, beef jerky, that kind of thing. 3 ounces of cooked beef is going to net you 25 grams of protein. So that means for person A, me, I'm going to need to get 36 ounces of beef per day. For person 2, you're going to need 22 ounces of beef per day. Now again, that is a lot of beef. So you can't just figure on meats. I know that some people aren't meat eaters here. They are vegetarians, so I wanted to throw that a little bit of reality in here for people that think they're going to get their protein from beans. 1 cup of cooked black beans is 15 grams of protein. Okay, and remember, it's not a complete protein from my protein profile video. You have to add rice with it, but hey, that's no big deal. But 15 grams of protein in 1 cup of cooked beans. So that means person 2 with a 2,500 calorie limit is going to need 12.5 cups of cooked black beans per day to hit their number. Person A, me, I'm going to need 20 cups of black beans just to get my protein intake. So if you think stashing white rice and black beans or beans are going to be the thing that's going to put you over and make you good for end of the world, you are terribly mistaken. And that's one thing I wanted to try to hit through with this video. When it comes to fats, this is a little bit easier because Fats, if you are in the continental United States, you can stash away enough, but you can also go and find these and forage them. For the most part, the highest fat content food that you're going to run across is either going to be oils or nuts. So I'm going to use a cup of pecans. I live in the South, we got pecan trees everywhere. But mixed nuts are just about the same. So for 1 cup of mixed nuts, you're looking at about 72 grams of fats. All right? So that means person 2 with the 2,500 calorie limit is only going to need right a little bit over 1 cup of nuts. So we can all eat a handful of nuts, no big deal. So 1 cup really is not that bad. For person 2, the 4,000 calorie person, me, that is about 2 cups, which still, 2 cups over the course of a day, you can put those in oatmeal, whatever, is really, really easy. So just don't underestimate the fact that you're going to need fats. The only big problem with fats is they do not store very long, so you want to make sure you have ways to source those. And tree nuts, especially, or chocolate, or those kind of fats are going to be crucial. That's why you have to stash away that kind of stuff. All right, so there is the math, everything's kind of set out for you. That's what you need to look forward to in terms of stashing. Now, you don't have to do a 40-30-30 split. When it comes to certain geographical locations, they don't have the carbs to hit, or they might have a surplus of fats, vice versa, whatever. But you have to understand, your brain needs so many carbs to run because your brain cannot function on fat. So remember that aspect. So if you want to tinker with the carbohydrate and fat ratios, then that's perfectly acceptable. Some people just work better when they have less carbohydrates and more fats. Not a big deal. Just make sure that you're messing with those scenarios so you're still hitting your basic, your set number of calories. Now when it comes to protein, like I said, your body burns energy in carbohydrate first, fat second, and muscle third. When you start burning muscle, that's when your body is basically starting to cannibalize itself, and you could potentially be doing a lot of damage to organs. So you want to try to avoid that at all times if possible by making sure you're loaded up on carbohydrates and fats. That's why this series is so important. Carbohydrates are a lot easier to store because they have a very long shelf life. Think about your pastas, your whole wheat, like your grains themselves, oatmeals, white rice, that kind of thing. They store for a very, very, very long time. So being able to store that kind of stuff is fantastic. I just wanted to put that out there. All right, there you have it. I really hope this series helped everybody out. I hope it at least put into a good quantifiable number there. That way you can see for yourself and your family. You can do it for yourself, your wife, your spouse, your kids. That way you know exactly how many calories you need to store and exactly where they need to come from. Because stashing away a whole bunch of dehydrated food is only going to take you so far, or buckets of white rice and beans. You need to diversify, and you need to figure out ways on how to get this on your own. So whether it be growing your food, foraging your food, hunting, whatever, you need to figure out how to do this, because you don't want to be in a situation like those guys on the TV show Alone, and you shoot a moose and you're still starving. That's the whole point of this series. If you learned something from this video, please give me that thumbs up. It will really totally help me out with the algorithm. Share the video with your friends. This series is in its own playlist, so if you want to come back to it at any time, by all means, go ahead to my playlist and you'll come across the End of the World Nutrition. Subscribe to my channel if you have not, and I will catch y'all later. All right, bye.